One of the great things about today's world is social media. It gives us an ability to get our voice out there. While I'm obviously a tireless advocate for what is now called legacy media, this social media gives us the ability to reach out to mass audiences and get our words out. I can tell you that there's one person, when she comes on my show, my Twitter feed picks up at least 30 people. My station that has a very heavy Facebook presence, that's WNTK 99.7, shameless plug, gets a lot of bumps when Kimberly Morin comes on. Kimberly's known to everybody in this audience, I think, pretty well. She is a bulldog who rescues bulldogs. Get up here, Kim.
All right. It's a little bit too tall for me. I'm also short. We shouldn't be here today. None of us should be. It's a cold, wintry day in New England. We should be at home with our families, enjoying them by a blazing fire. But we have to be here. Why? Because the legislators in the building behind me, and even those who are simply paid hacks, have decided they know what's best for us. They infringe upon, take away, and then won't restore our rights when we demand it. Over the past few weeks, I've been to hearings here. This past week was for the House Constitutional Carry Bill and another gun control bill for expanded background checks. The one thing that is consistent among gun control extremists is that they don't use facts, period. They will pull a stat out of their Islamophobic arses and claim it as gospel. Unfortunately for them, it's quite simple to debunk their lies. And that's what we did here last week. We blew up their lies right in their faces by using facts. But guess what? Facts don't matter to them. These people hate firearms. They don't want us protecting ourselves and actually use the blood of their own families and children to push their hoplophobia onto all of us. In case you didn't know, a hoplophobe is someone who has an irrational fear of firearms. These people should not be making laws regarding firearms or the Second Amendment. They are disturbed individuals who should seek mental health treatment or try desensitization training by actually going to a range with the law-abiding citizens they seem to fear so much. Last week, we saw a slew of hoplophobes incoherently trying to explain why law-abiding Granite Staters shouldn't be allowed to freely practice our fundamental right to self-defense. There was a state trooper in full uniform being paid with our tax dollars who testified against our rights to push gun control. Not only were his arguments incoherent and inexplicable, but if he is the expert on safety in this state, he gives even more reason as to why we need to be our first lines of defense. It was embarrassing, and we paid for that. I sat before a committee of mostly men, and I told them how my grandmother, back in 1920, did very much the same thing, only she was asking men to grant her permission for the right to vote. Funny thing, back in 1920, my grandmother could carry however she wanted. It's 2015, I have less rights now than my grandmother did then. They're coming to get me. A couple of weeks before at the Senate Judiciary hearing, we saw over 4.5 hours of testimony for the constitutional carry bill that was in the Senate. Of all those people, only 4 testified against it. The same embarrassing state trooper, a New Hampshire chief of police organization representative who wants to see all law-abiding citizens only open carry. I'm sure criminals would like that as well. A pathetic paid hack from Granite State Progress, and a woman who also wants to ban firearms. The majority of people at that hearing were for constitutional carry. They're like all of us here, law-abiding citizens who are simply defending our rights. But what happened in the Senate when it came time to vote? You had male Democrats like Senator Andrew Women Are Half-Baked Hosmer from the Laconia area, and Senator David I Grew a Uterus Overnight Pierce from Claremont, telling we little women's folk that we were insulting intelligent debate by claiming this is a women's rights issue. Last time I checked, I'm a woman, and the New Hampshire Constitution also says that bearing arms is my right. That, my dear, sexist, ignorant, uninformed, misogynist, hateful, bullying, hoplophobic senators makes this indeed a women's rights issue. These men would rather have women be victims than survivors. Every New Hampshire Senate Democrat voted against our fundamental right to self-defense. They have no factual evidence as to why. They simply use false statistics and boy who cried wolf syndrome to deny us our Second Amendment right. We know they were overwhelmed with phone calls and emails in support of constitutional carry, but what did they do? They voted how their political party leaders told them to vote. Is that the kind of representation we want in the State House? No. Aren't these the same people who took an oath of office to uphold our Constitution? Yeah. This rally doesn't end here. We have to continue the pressure when we get home to our families. Phone calls, emails, letters to the editor. Inform your neighbors and family. Join organizations that are active in fighting for your Second Amendment rights. Use social media, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, anything you can think of. Get the word out there, put pressure on them. They don't like it. That is why we are here. I carry a firearm because I can't carry a cop. I get training because I refuse to be a victim. I'm prepared for scenarios in which I have to defend myself. Right now, we are defending ourselves, not from your average criminal on the street, but from our own representatives. It's time we all refuse to be a victim of our legislature. Yay!
Hey, Kimberly, how do you spell hoplophobe and homophobic?
Democrat!
Very good.
Crop TV.